Mike Coppinger reporting sources a Chinese agency at $1.9 million won the purse bid for the IBF light heavyweight title fight between Artur Beterbiev and China's Meng Fanlong or Fanlong Meng. Bout will likely be staged in China in the spring. Top Rank, which holds a long-term deal with Beterbiev, bid $1.35 million. Jake Donovan of Boxing Scene reported that Rock Nation were the ones that bid on this fight on behalf of Rejoy Group / Longjoy Sports in China. So Rock Nation back in the game, it seems. Also, there is some thought that Beterbiev might vacate his belt and move on from this matchup. There is some reporting, Jake Donovan reporting as well, that is possible. So, guys, do not be surprised to see this fight actually not even happen, to be honest. But there has been a purse bid been ordered. It obviously was won by Fanlong Meng's side, and now we have a situation where Beterbiev either agrees to it or he vacates. Gary, thoughts on what is next for Artur Beterbiev, the best light heavyweight in the world?
It's kind of like two-sided, right? Like, I don't want him to have that fight, but then I don't want another ridiculous champion, which you would have, because he'd vacate that, and then the guy that he would destroy would likely win a world title. And it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want the fight, but then I don't want another title holder either. So
by the way, Fanlong Meng is not a bad prospect, by the way. Undefeated Chinese prospect, not bad. There have been worse mandatories that we've talked about.
There has been worse mandatories. Carlos Ocampo and
yes, the go-to.
Steak boots.
No, vegan boots.
Vegan boots.
Vegan boots.
I mean, these are not great. I wish that the IBF, I give them all credit for making people take their mandatories. I wish their rankings weren't totally bogus though, right? Like,
see, I don't give them credit for like enforcing their mandatories. You know why? Because all it does is serve them in their pocketbooks and does a disservice to the rest of the divisions. The IBF forcing their mandatories actually are a cause of chaos when it comes to unifications.
Well, no, like, let the unification take precedence.
But they don't do that. They don't do that, though.
They should, right? Okay, fine. If it's not a unification, it should be unification, mandatories, and then anything else you want to take is third, right? But you should have to take a mandatory every 18 to 24 months. And whatever you want to do besides that, if you want to take a unification fight, that's fine. But then within 6 months or 12 months, you have to agree to take a unification fight, right? Like, that's the...
Leonard in the chat with such bias here. I love it. Saying, vacate Meng versus Buatsi next in line. Let's get a UK world champion. Guys.
Get a yard.
Though I'm a fan of Buatsi. Buatsi should not be a world champion in the next year. He hasn't fought the right people. He's not Royal Caliber yet. You know, it would be not to like the degree, but it'd be almost a parallel of like Shakur Stevenson being a champion now. It's icky. Like, I don't like it. It devalues the belt. It devalues what it means to have a belt. It devalues you as a fighter. No, I'd rather have Beterbiev just defend this against Meng in China, collect a cool $1 million from it, and be satisfied. Meng's undefeated. He's a good prospect. He was on our top 15 light heavyweight rankings before. I mean, this isn't a bad opponent. And plus, he's making decent money off of it. Like, it's not like it's a bad purse bid, in my opinion. Right? I mean, $1.9 million for this fight. I mean, he's going to make 66% of that, which is what, $1.2 something like that million.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's making $1 million off this, and also, if you're top ranked, you're thinking, man, we don't have to pay for this fight. We don't have to pay for the production of it. It all gets sort of offshore to China, and they pay for everything. I think you definitely jump on that. And plus, Bob Aaron's been out there saying we're out there looking for the biggest money to offset costs because we're not making ticket sales. We're not making money here in the States. Gary.
I agree. No, I mean, it makes a lot of sense. But what if you could get an Anthony Yard fight instead? You'd have to vacate it, but you could make an Anthony Yard fight.
Why do you keep mentioning Anthony Yard?
Because I think after that fight with Kovalev, I think there's appeal to his name. I think people want to see him again in a big fight.
Dude has to fight first, bro.
I agree, and it would be tough to go from that fight, that brutal war with Kovalev, and then jump into another war. But
Anthony Yard's not part of any conversation for the next year. He's not. Like, I'm sorry. Dude's not even talked about with fights. Like, think about it. There's not even whispers or news articles or interviews out there talking about who he's lined up with next. The guy's out of commission for a while, it seems.
And I mean, it was, he got beaten. That was such a brutal war. He ended up getting knocked out by a jab, if you remember. It was a jab.
Yeah.
A stiff jab that finally ended, but that's how out he was from. I mean, that was such a brutal fight.
Somebody bringing up a good point. What happens with Canelo's 175 WBO belt since it was vacated by Canelo? God, who's next in line for that one? Gary, you want to look that up really fast? WBO rankings, light heavyweight rankings. I'm curious.
Yeah, I'm gonna look up real quick. Give me a minute.
And quickly, let me see what else I can give here from this story. Not much, but I'm curious about what Beterbiev does in 2020. I mean, the guy is on just such a upward trend in terms of boxing perception, even though maybe not as a drawing power, obviously, but in terms of hardcores, Beterbiev is rising up the rankings in terms of our perception, pound for pound, status-wise. Leonard Sterling is saying Ramirez and Salimov are next in line. Zerto, number 1, Salimov, number 2. I mean, Salimov's not a bad opponent, obviously. I mean, Salimov's one of those guys that's been around for such a long time, it seems. He's due for a big fight. Gilberto Ramirez, obviously, former WBO champion at 168. It makes sense why he's so high at 175. You know,
watch them get something done here where the Jesse Hart, Joe Smith Jr. fight becomes for that belt.
Tyson Fury outboxes Jesus Christ. It's just somebody's name, not what I'm saying. I'm saying Muslims in China, question mark. I think you're talking about the Uyghurs in China. You want me to talk about that? Obviously, China is, the government of China is rounding up the Uyghur population, which is a ethnic population of Muslims in China, and systematically re-educating and sterilizing them. It's just, I mean, it's genocide without the actual killing, but it is significant there. So people aren't read up on it. Go read up on it. I don't know if I think that this is obviously an attempt to try to get me to compare to like the Saudi Arabia and like what happened with AJ and all that. I don't know if it's the same because I don't know about Rejoy. This company, Rejoy, what's the name of it? Rejoy Group, Longjoy Sports. If they are a government subsidy of some sort, but if it is, then it is a aspect of sports washing. Absolutely. If it's just some separate, corporation in that country, then it's not an issue of sports washing. It'd be the same as like Rock Nation in the U.S. promoting fights. That's not sports washing. Our private prison system, for example. It only is when the U.S. government, which is partaking in an atrocity, also paying for some sort of aspect of sports, like Saudi Arabia. The actual government of Saudi Arabia, which is participating in atrocities in Yemen and other places within their own country, the government is literally paying through the sports ministry or something like that. And that's how they pay for sporting enterprises to come to the country. A little bit different. Beterbiev as a Muslim should say something. If that's the reason why he's not going, I do know there was some aspect as Beterbiev not wanting to go to China. If that's the reason why he doesn't want to go, credit to him. I mean, shout out to Artur Beterbiev if that is the reason why he doesn't want to go to China. Gary, any other thoughts on Rock Nation being involved with this to some degree, what that could mean, Fanlong Meng, Artur Beterbiev, does the fight even happen? Any other thoughts on this mandatory?
I don't think it happens. But B, I wanted to hear what you like. Rock Nation, is this destined to fail again? Is this going to be?
I don't even know what it is. That's the weird part. Like, I think it's just, I don't know. I have no idea what to make of Rock Nation being involved here, because they made the bid on behalf of this company. So my thinking is that there's some relationship here between this Chinese corporation and Jay-Z's Rock Nation, and due to tax reasons, I'm guessing Rock Nation's the one that made the bid. That's my pure assumption here as to why this is happening. Also, I am curious if the Ramirez Postal fight is also the same group. If it's the God, what the fuck is that name of it? Rejoy Group / Longjoy Sports. I wonder if that's the same group participating in the Jose Ramirez Victor Postal fight in China. You know, top ranked state. I wonder if it's the same umbrella. I wonder. Curious. Neil, the security Sam lost. What's the beef with China? I don't really have a beef with China per se in terms of its people or anything like that. Just the country is rounding up Muslims. It's bad, but I have no idea if that's what's happening here, or if that has any aspect of any aspect of Beterbiev's decision, who is Muslim, and what his decision not to want to fight in China. Moving on, Mike.